So moved.
Consider.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, minutes are adopted. New business, item number 1, approval of disbursement from District 1 improvement funds. Councilman Wilson.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. I have been meeting and speaking to several foundations. And Carla, do y'all have the all right places? Today, I would like to give $500 to Bridge Builder Foundation, which deals with helping children to learn how to read. Also, I want to allocate $1,500 to the Tuscaloosa Housing Authority, as we know that rents are escalating. And I was speaking to Mr. Dino Ford about how many of the people that he's trying to help have homes are really dealing with a lot of issues. And so I want Dino to speak to that today, and why I'm giving these resources.
How are you, sir?
All right, how y'all doing?
Good, welcome.
I just want to thank y'all for this opportunity.
Sure.
And the reason I'm here today because we are trying to maintain some of the families we already have in public housing. If you noticed recently, we ain't had no problem because we got folks who understand the development, they understand each other, they get along with their neighbors. But when we change up, that's when we start having problems. New folks come in, they don't have the same philosophy about public housing. Mm-hmm. So we are trying to maintain those families that we have. And right now, in order for us to do that, we're going to need some financial assistance. We're going to need that. And if any way that y'all can help us, in the past, we've had institutions, churches, and other groups to help us maintain these families. But it's getting to the point now because of inflation is so high, a lot of the families have not been able to pay all their rent. And some of these folks got so far behind on their rent. I mean, we had one person that almost got behind $7,000. We couldn't save that person. But we got a lot of folks we can help and save and keep them in public housing. And that's what we're asking. We need this service, we need this financial assistance so we can help these families and keep them. We need to keep these families because they can't afford anything outside of public housing.
Yes,
I'm telling you. We have folks that leave, they pay 1 month's rent, then they back in the street. Then they move in with family member let them stay a couple of weeks, a month, then they back in the street.
And then
if you would notice, you see a lot of folks early in the morning with backpacks now. They're not going to the university. They're not going to Stillman. They are looking for a place to spend the night somewhere. So what we are doing, we're asking you, please help us help these families. And every penny you give us is going to be to help these families. Not a dime for us. We want to help these families. If you look at my record, anybody will tell you, we do everything we can to assist these families. And we've never asked for help.
Yes,
But we need help now.
yes, sir.
Any questions?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Mr. Favor.
And I'm for you, don't misunderstand this question, but who sets the rent? And second part of that is, are these people that have gotten behind, are they trying to pay a portion of their rent that they can? I mean, I'm just curious.
That's a good question. Most of them are paying something. They don't pay it all.
Right.
But if you pay a portion over a period of time, that account builds up.
Oh, yeah, I understand.
And it's just like everything else going up.
I understand.
Food going up. They have to try to maintain some kind of car so they can get back and forth to work. So what they're doing, they'll pay a little on their rent and pay a little on everything else, and everything is behind. So if we can get some money from this group to help us, we can get a lot of folks out of this bind that they're in. Because sooner or later, we're going to have to make some tough decisions.
Is the federal government setting the rent, or who's setting the rent?
Well, think about it. The rent is based on the income.
Oh,
It's based on the income. But because everything else is so expensive, folks are making some decisions. I pay the housing authority a little bit. They are compassionate. They're going to try to help. And we've tried to help. And we've helped a lot of families. I got, right now, I just finished my monthly report. Right now, I just finished it. Out of that, 42% of the folks have not been able to pay. Think about 42%. That means that 48% of the folks paid. And if you're running a business, you can't run a business like that. Only 48% of the folks paying.
Okay, we have any other questions or comments?
Motion approved.
Second.
Whoa, we got two two items bundled up
Yes,
here,
sir.
right?
And item,
Yes, sir.
There's the Bridge
The
Builder
Bridge
Friendship
Builder
Foundation. and the
Friendship
Housing
Foundation.
Authority.
Okay, city attorney, thank you, sir, you can have a seat, I appreciate you coming,
Yeah.
and
And Mr.
appreciate
Hall-
what you do.
Yes, sir. Mr. Hall probably want to say something too.
Well, he's gonna have to wait just a second, please. So, Mr. Holmes, some city attorneys, are we okay, on this?
Yes, sir. I'm trying to figure out because from my these come in kind of several
These being district council funds?
requests.
Okay,
And what I have for mine, and so let me just clarify what I have for my notes with our numbers on the agenda.
okay,
We have vetted, Mr. Wilson has made a number of requests, the bridge builders, the housing authority, and there was the EMA for the
Veterans.
weather radio giveaway. The OCA 241377, which is kind of shows to be the one thing on the agenda based upon that, is for the weather radios. We have vetted all of those items. I just want to make I want to make sure the committee is clear.
okay,
what
so
we're
all
discussing.
three of the items on that
All right,
request
right.
have been vetted?
Yes, sir. They've all been vetted. And
Okay.
we'll have the resolution ready for all of them. If you've seen me over here scrambling,
Yeah,
just trying to figure out which
That's
one
all
we're
right,
talking about.
I might can simplify life. If they've all three been vetted, then there is a motion, I will allow them to be
And I
voted.
said to him prior to, Mr. Chair, that before he puts it on the agenda to make sure that it is vetted.
Okay, all right.
and I'm, Mr. Chairman, I'm glad you asked that question, but I assumed when I made my motion. that
Okay,
we
yeah,
already- we
and
already
you
passed that.
assume, you assume
Or it would have
correct.
been on-
There is
it
a
would have been on the
motion.
agenda.
I'll make a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, item is approved. Number two, general fund budget revision number one, Ms. Standridge.
Good afternoon, council.
Good afternoon.
This general fund budget revision is the first one for the fiscal year, and there are three sections to it. So if you'll kind of flip to that page number 2 and 3, we'll kind of go through each individual section because I think that there's going to be explanations for each one. Section A is to increase district improvement funds from $10,000 per council district to $15,000. That comes at request of council, and then to also increase the council outside services by $75,000. That will increase it from $100,000 to $175,000. That all is going to come out of contingency. That will bring contingency to $520,195 to begin the year.
Okay,
Item B, under this general fund budget revision there is a crew currently working under Public Works. It is a sweeper flusher crew, and we are requesting to move it operationally out of the Public Works Department and into the Environmental Services Department. I think within an operational functionality, it fits better there. During the budget discussions, it was still under Public Works, and so therefore it is budgeted under Public Works. And so what we are doing with this budget revision is to move it out of Public Works and into ESD. Mr. Meggs is here to talk about any operational changes that might affect if you have any questions about that, but that is what the B section of this budget revision is.
why do we bundle these two together?
They're all general fund. They're all within the general fund, and so just one budget revision because of it is one ordinance that's needed to be adopted.
All right, Mr. Meggs?
Good afternoon, council.
Good afternoon.
So we are moving sweepers and flushers into ESD. The main reason for that is to complete our solid waste plan, truck routes. So we'll become more efficient and effective on just cleaning every street and every avenue in the city.
So people won't have to call.
That's
for-
right. So
That's
if
good.
we spill or if a trash truck cleans up and debris is left, that truck's already scheduled to come behind them on
That's
that road.
great.
Yeah, that's great.
Yes, sir. It just
Because
makes it
people
more
are asking
efficient.
questions.
Puts it under one roof.
Okay.
I understand that part. Ms. Standridge, could you walk me through again the money side of that?
Sure.
Are we
So,
adding more money to that function?
no, sir. It's a zero effect budget revision. We're just moving the crew and their salaries out of one department and putting them the same amounts within another department.
Okay, gentlemen, are there any questions or
So
comments?
moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item is approved.
So, well,
No.
there's a third section to the general fund budget revision. Let me go through that one too, and then you might,
I was moving so well.
so sorry to interrupt the flow.
Okay, I see us there.
Transfer from amp clearing.
Yes, sir. So the item C within this budget revision is to transfer an amount for within the amphitheater clearing account and into strategic communications salary line items. With the change from Red Mountain Entertainment, that was the booker promoter for the amphitheater shows, moving to Danny Wimmer Presents. One of the pieces within the operating contracts that's going to fall to the city to now do is going to be marketing and promotions of the shows. In order to do that, we calculated the amount of savings that we were going to be having from moving out of the Red Mountain Entertainment contract, and then created a plan to form that type of in-house marketing and promotions team. Part of that is going to be doing a little bit more staffing, $100,000 out of about $300,000 in total savings.
350 is what we're not paying to Red Mountain, check.
It's approximately at $315,000
15.
across the last 5 years. Yes, sir. And so we'll be taking $100,000 of that to create a staffing team within strategic communications. And then we have Stratcoms and also the amphitheater team here, if you need to ask them any operational questions about how that marketing plan will be enacted.
Good. Dr. Rush?
Dr. Rush is currently out,
Dr. Dave's here.
Dr.
Dr.
Day,
Day.
welcome.
Yes.
and the new deputy director for strategic communications is here as well,
Yes.
Doug Killo.
Dr. Killow as well.
So I want you to know I fought very hard for this. I've been working with Kevin Lake and Huey in comms for the last 2 years very closely. And they do all of the A&E events for us. And when you look at the Mayor's Cup participation, we've had the best participation ever this last year. When you look at DCAF, when you look at all the major events that we do, they've been very, very successful, not only because of my team and what Nicole and everybody's been doing, but a huge part of that is because of comms. They get the word out, they do it strategically, and they do it effectively. And so Kevin made an incredible presentation to the mayor, and I think made the mayor a believer that this is going to work. And I've eyeballed the mayor in many, many meetings leading up to this and letting him know this is not going to fail. Kevin is as passionate as I am about the amphitheater. Over the years, he said, this is what I would be doing differently when my blood pressure would be going up and saying, I don't understand this, I don't understand that. And he's got a great plan. What's wonderful about having it in-house is we can pivot. We can, if something's not working, we can quickly change it. We're on the same team. He wants us to be successful. We want them to be successful. So I'm very excited about this marketing coming in-house, and I believe it's going to be very effective, and you're going to be very pleased with this change.
Can I ask a dumb question? Is it Dr. Day?
It is Dr.
Yeah,
Day, yes,
Dr.
sir.
Day.
Go ahead.
We're bestowing doctorates now at the city.
Yes.
Whatever it takes.
Just for the day.
This is gonna sound as an elementary kind of question, but part of it I know is probably attendance and all these other things, but how are you gonna measure, how will we measure success?
Well,
as a group?
I do believe
What
it's
looks
in
good?
I do believe it's in attendance to the shows and how many shows we're booking, the diversity of the shows. We've been sort of every year going back and forth with the artists that we've already had. So we are going to be trying some things that are a little different this year to see what sticks. We've never really marketed to the students at the University of Alabama. We've never had some rock and roll in here. TPD keeps telling me to get 5-finger death punch and they're all going to show up at the show. I mean, there's a lot of different things out there, and we've got a group now that's willing to work with us and do the right thing. Our thing to me is to be able to bring some incredible shows here to the citizens of Tuscaloosa and let them know we're listening, to what they want. And, but a part of that What's been my frustration is if you don't know about the shows, if it's not marketing properly, how do you know to buy a ticket?
Right.
Right? So, I mean, that to me is when y'all come to me and say, I'm so excited about XYZ coming, that you've heard about it. And you're going to hear about it because of what they're going to be able to do.
I think it's a good thing, personally.
When I drive across the bridge and see these lit blinking,
Mm-hmm.
are those ours, or do we buy or rent those?
The billboards,
We buy them just like everybody else.
yeah, we rent them. We do. And my blood pressure's been up more than once because we don't have a big presence right there in the billboard right across coming for us. And Kevin's already, that's part of the plan. You know, we usually have one going to Northport, but I want the one right there when people are coming in. You know, everybody thinks they see all the entertainment that goes to Pearl River because they're on that billboard every day. And, you know, our billboards are going to be branded effectively so that you'll always know it's at the Mercedes-Benz Amphitheater. You're going to know when it's coming and you're going to know who that artist is, and it will be consistent. So you're going to get sick of hearing about these people coming to town.
Looking forward to
I'm
it.
excited because I never know who's coming till we get it on our desk.
I know.
That's right. You're right.
Very frustrating. So I'm
That big
looking
jumbo
forward.
screen, you could put it down there.
We'll
and they
see.
can
We've
see
got
it
2
for
new
miles,
LED
right?
screens coming. Yeah.
Very
Since
excited,
he's
Dr.
assuming responsibility for that function, do you want to let Dr. Killo talk for a
Oh,
second?
yes. Oh, sorry.
I'll second what she said. It's pretty simple.
No, how are you going to staff for it?
So we are
adding or augmenting? What are you doing?
we're gonna hire a new FTE for comm specialists.
Okay.
So we have that in that $100,000 allocated toward that, as well as increasing compensation for our current marketing and communications manager and comm specialist senior, just to kind of help them with their workload. They're going to be taking on a little more. So this comm specialist, the new FTE, will be pretty much earmarked for the amphitheater, promoting the amphitheater itself and the shows.
So the new FTE, you're buying salary and benefits with part of the 100, check?
Correct.
And then the remainder, you're doing what for your other 2 existing? Are those salary raises?
Correct.
Or buying them additional equipment?
Raises.
This is
those
raises,
raises
compensation increases.
Appeared anywhere else don't those go to admin, and where do those go?
So that's really gonna be an HR question, but within the administrative, process currently, no, sir, those
It's
specifically
within
don't go
their
to
current
council.
classification.
It's within their current classification, yes,
Okay.
sir.
And it's
So then
it's
how
well
much-
deserved.
How much is being earmarked for that?
That's $100,000 total for
No, I
those
know the
for those
total.
3.
How much is being earmarked for the salary raises?
I'm not sure. I think it's, let's see, we have about 20,000 total of that 100,000.
About 20 for 2.
Correct.
And I will say, at Red Mountain, they had 3 full-time people that were working on our marketing. And so this is also on top of everything they're gonna be, and my expectations for what they need to be doing with the marketing, website, billboards, you know, everything, social media they'll be responsible for. That's to help compensate them for all of this additional work and being at all the shows.
Hiring an outside agency is typically 2 to 3 times more expensive than hiring in-house or keeping the work in-house. So, and that gives us a little more strategic control and creative control. You kind of mentioned being able to pivot. So if we're running a campaign for a particular show and we see that maybe some metrics like click-through rates on social media ads that are driving to a website where you purchase tickets, if we're seeing click-through rates a little lower, maybe we try something different. So having that in-house gives us more immediate feedback, so we can more quickly optimize that strategy.
You can adjust not at the end of every year, end of every season.
Correct, and every
Figure
show
that
has its
out.
own
You
budget
see it.
allocated, so.
I'd like to make a motion to, now, I'm making a motion to approve all 3
All
of these, Carly,
three.
right?
Authorization to amend TTSC 2024 agency funding contract.
Yes, sir. So at request of council, we are proposing to amend the 2024 agency funding contract for Tuscaloosa Tourism and Sports Commission by $50,000. That will then be paid out of the 2024 fiscal year budget.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Item is approved. Number 4,
In the same vein, the request from council is to increase Sister City's 2024 agency funding contract by $8,000, also to be paid out of 2024 fiscal year.
Motion.
Second.
all in favor say aye. Number 5, authorization to select and contract with Warren Averett for PL 113-2 audit services, Ms. Standridge.
Yes, PL 113-2 is the community development block grant for disaster recovery that we received in 2013 for the April 27th, 2011 tornado. The amount that we received from the Department of Housing and Urban Development was about $45 million. As part of that $45 million award allocation, we are required to do an internal audit within the City of Tuscaloosa's activities of that grant. We do not have the ability to do an internal audit function within the city currently that is completely third party and unbiased. And so we must contract out for that at this time. We've done this every year since I think 2019. And the total amount for this is paid completely out of the grant award. The not to exceed for this contract is $25,000.
Chairman, I got a question.
Yeah.
How long do we have to do this?
Forever.
How do we have to, I mean,
Mr. Busby asked the exact same question when we originally briefed this item. It's an excellent question. We should be working on closeout for this grant within the next 12 to 18 months. I hope we have to finish one large project, which is the Juanita Drive. Once we do
so we
closeout,
haven't spent all that money yet?
no, sir, I haven't spent it all yet.
Okay.
Once we do closeout and the grant is fully closed out, which again, 18, maybe 24 months from now, we will have another 7 years of compliance requirements after that. Yes, sir.
Wow.
That is the federal regs requirement.
Do we know ballpark how much left in the pot? Is it $1 million, $5 million?
Oh, no, sir.
4,000?
It's probably about 1.8, maybe 2.
Okay.
Please don't hold me to that. That's my general
No,
idea.
Fair
Yeah.
enough. Gentlemen, any other comments or questions on this
Motion.
item?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Number 6, ordinance amending section 2-59.1 of the code. Mr. Holmes.
Yes, sir. Section 2-59.1 is what sets out the council district improvement funds. Council budgeted that at $15,000 per district this year. Code states at $10,000, so this amends code to be in line with the budget.
Okay, and so this was the same as last year, we just.
Yes, sir. This should have been done
It
last
was
year.
Right.
A code issue. All right.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Section 2-59.1 is, well, actually it's forwarded to council for amendment. Number 7, resolution authorizing binding coverage and payment of premium for certain insurance coverage for FY 24.
I think that's probably just a typo. This is for our insurance coverage for our employees that handle bits of the police and fire supplemental pension program. You may, I think a couple years ago, we had a bigger discussion about this. This is one of the items that came up on insurance litigation, I believe, in July. We didn't have a number yet. The old number was $5,494. The updated premium for this year is $5,712. So lawyer math, about a $218 increase year to year.
Okay. And is it for 24? Are we paying in arrears?
No, so this should be for 25.
Okay.
I'll double
That'll
check
need to
that.
be amended on there.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item is approved. I think that covers our agenda for today. Is there any other business to be brought before Finance
Yes, sir.
Committee?
Mr. Dina wanted to speak. I had Ms. Chris Ball. Not Chris.
Come on up
How's
and tell
everybody doing
us.
this afternoon?
Come on.
Good, how are you?
I'm Chris Saul, I'm the Executive Director of the Housing Authority. Dino mentioned sort of the plight of our residents right now. You know, during COVID, our residents had a lot of resources that were provided by HUD. They had emergency rental assistance, they had emergency housing vouchers on the Section 8 side. I think that, in speaking with Dino, I think that we were hoping for a little bit more of a supplemental for our residents to assist with the rent and arrears. You know, we have a lot of
So
individuals.
let me
Yes, sir.
address that, because I think I think what's happened right here is Councilman Wilson has used his district funds for that Band-Aid. I don't know that, that's what's going on, that's all that's taken place today.
Yes, sir.
I've not seen a request from y'all nor heard a full presentation. I think some of us, I know me, I don't fully understand the flows involved in what, and that may be a combined you and staff presentation, but I'm confused about who owns what and who has responsibility for what. And would love, I made this a longer interruption than I meant to, but I would love, I think we had one presentation years ago. I'd love to see another one. I don't know that, maybe admin and policy, maybe finance, but I feel certain we can make a place to hear that full presentation. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and this is a humble request because I realize that we're outside of that sort of grant funding application that you guys typically do. This was just sort of looking at our accounts receivable, recognizing that those same options aren't available to us that were available to us during COVID. And like Mr. Fort mentioned, you know, with inflation being what it is, grocery prices, we got a lot of families, we got a lot of, you know, parents that are paying for their kids, you know, outfits to go to homecoming just like ours, and it's hitting them really hard. And we have no choice based on HUD rules and regulations and our own policies to evict them if they're two or more months later on their rent. And I know, you know, we already have a homeless situation in this town, and we were just trying to prevent that. You know, I think we're probably a little bit late to the game in coming here, and I apologize for that. We'll certainly look into submitting that grant application on behalf of our request in the future.
Okay, along again with a more full presentation from both the Housing Authority and the staff. But again, I just wanted to make clear, this is a Band-Aid that one of the councilmen decided to pull out of his district fund. And
Question, or, I'm sorry, how much money are we talking about, Chris, if I missed it? I'm sorry.
Well, you know,
our
our monthly, and this, you know, we really didn't have a number. Mr. Ford, I don't know how you felt about that. I had a conversation with Mr. Ford earlier today about this. We're $52,000 in arrears, accounts receivable right now. Our monthly rent that's due for our public housing units is about $125,000. So that's where the 42% comes in. You know, we just wanted sort of a pot of funds that when those residents, when they're facing eviction, we can prevent them from being homeless. And so it would be
Where are other places that you go and, I mean, is there anybody else that's funding anything for you like that, or
you know,
is that temporary emergency services, 211 at United Way, any of that kind of stuff help?
Jeff Bezos provided that money to temporary emergency services in Karen, and that is one option that clients have. But you know, as Dino will tell you, because he works with these families every day, it's not enough, and there's very few options.
Is there a way, I think Mr. Busby, I know you understand federal funding better than anyone probably in the room. We have the same issues with city funding. We would need a detailed presentation, exact numbers, exact deficits, you know, for us to even begin to vet the process. And you're right, we're outside of our funding windows.
Mm-hmm.
That's one. But number two, I got a question you brought up. You said you're 52,000 in the rears. Are you saying the housing authority is 52,000 in the rears, or the account in which you subsidize Section 8, or not Section
Public housing. So yes, sir, I understand your question. So there's two different pots of funds. There's the subsidy we get from HUD to subsidize the units, and then there's the tenant portion, which is 30%.
Units, are those your like
Public housing units that we manage.
McKinsey Court?
Correct. Haycourt, Rosedale, etc. Yes, sir.
Okay, so you get a subsidy, you get funding from the federal government.
Right.
And so then and then the rears, you're in the rear because the cost of that is more than what you projected the federal government would fund you?
Right, because like I mentioned, just the tenant portion of that rent that comes to the housing authority is about $125,000 a month. We're $52,000 in arrears of that $125,000.
But to the mayor's question, you're short people that are living in the units.
that's the portion.
Right, what they're being billed for their
Tenants
part of the
pay.
rent.
That's correct.
That's
yes,
what
sir.
you're short.
Yeah, that's
Right,
right.
not the feds.
Yeah,
Or the
that's
feds,
right.
and that's based on income, right?
That's correct.
Like,
yes,
and
sir.
then so the feds provide blank, and then you have to bill it out to the tenants.
Yeah, and it's not really about the business of the housing authority and us trying to get the $52,000 as much as it's trying to prevent the eviction.
Because if you
Right.
don't get these funds, then you have to evict the people,
That's
right?
correct.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
okay.
And so then you get a new set of people.
Now, Mr. Tyner's next.
Yeah, and that's, Councilman brings up a good point, you know, and Dino alluded to this a little bit. You know, we have an excellent relationship with the Tuscaloosa Police Department, and our public housing developments are as safe as they've been in a long time. And anytime we move families that we've worked with for a long time out and we move new families in, you know, that's based off time and date of when they're on the waiting list. You don't know what you're gonna get. And that's a concern of ours too, is moving those good families out because they're unable to afford the rent, and then moving these new families into the units.
But presumably, they also were unable to afford the rent. No, excuse me. Scratch that. No, I have no question or comment.
No, thank you. What I was gonna say, Chris, that I look forward to, like I said, a more detailed presentation. I did, after Councilor Wilson brought this to our attention last week, I did talk with Mr. Holmes, because I know there's certain things that general fund money cannot go toward. And so I was gonna bring LaPerry in too and see, you know, get his advice, since I still call it federal programs, even though that's not the name of it. But, so I think everyone's looking forward to hearing that from you.
Absolutely.
But also, knock on wood, it's been quiet my way lately, and that's been, and I hope it stays that way but I mean, it really has, because it was almost, as you know, you met with me and some residents, and let's hope it stays that way.
That's right. Yes, sir.
So, Mr. Chairman, what particular date do you think we can ask Mr. Chris to bring us a presentation?
No, I'll be glad. Why don't you and I work that out afterwards?
Okay.
I didn't realize that today, you know, I told you, we'll put him on. I
So
just didn't realize today was what he had planned to do. I'll be happy
Yeah.
to work that out next week or the week after. That's not a problem.
How soon can you come back to council?
I'll make myself available whenever you guys can be available.
So what, yeah, we'll walk in here after this and pick a day. Was it you that came and spoke? I think Raven, asked several years ago, you came in here and spoke to us on not a committee or a council date on Section 8 housing, right?
We brought,
I would love to, I mean, again, this is a Byzantine network of funding that I don't pretend to understand. I'd be glad to make time either during regular committee or we'll schedule a separate afternoon for it, because I don't understand it. We should understand it, and happy to hear about it.
Yeah. We recently gave sort of a comprehensive training to our commissioners.
What?
We recently gave sort of a comprehensive training to our commissioners. We have 5 commissioners. We could do something comprehensive. We can, you know, that took about 4 or 5 hours. It depends on how much time you guys have, and we'll tailor it to that and prioritize.
I don't know that I
based
love
on
you
that.
4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, you were talking about setting.
But I'm open to listen.
I don't think they cared for that too, by the way. I think they would much rather be a couple
All
hours.
right, well, we do thank you for coming,
Yes, sir.
and we will
Thank
make a
you,
time
Chris.
to hear.
Thank you, Chris.
I kinda inherited a half-hour tardy schedule today, so I'll be a little bit
Thank
quick.
you.
Been behind all day.
But thanks for coming, both of you, Dino and Chris,
Yeah.
and we'll get that recocked.
Mr. Busby, I have one thing I'd like to add, please, because it's Sister City. I meant to say that after Sister City, because I know everybody's interested. Lisa is officially retiring this time.
Oh, Lord.
She
Oh, wow.
stepped down about a year ago.
Sad.
She ended up staying another year because she just felt like, after she announced, she felt like, I'm not ready to step down yet, so she stayed another year. And now she has. We've got 5 finalists. I'm on the interview committee to select Lisa's replacement, and I'd love to, if y'all want to stop by and see me, I'll just give you the 5 names. There's three men and 2 women. We start interviews on October 17th and October 18th.
Cool.
Great
All right.
program.
Kentucky.
Oh, by the way, Kentucky passes on everybody's desk.
Okay.
Are there any other items to be brought before Finance Committee? Not sure, motion to